Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We'd like to start our session as soon as possible. Welcome back to the plenary session. I hope you all enjoyed the discussion on strategy. We will now ask Joao to report on the first World Scout Educational Congress in Hong Kong that occurred in 2013. Joao, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Dear friends, I'm here to present you the report of the World Scout Education Congress. Seems not to be working. Yeah. Okay, so the first World Scout Education Congress was a remarkable success. There were 319 on-site participants and almost 5 times more online participants. The on-site participants were a truly international group and came from more than 95 countries. The Congress was very popular on social media as well, with over 16,000 interactions only during the 3 days of the event. It was the first time we explored opportunities, including more people who were not able to join us in Hong Kong, which provided a remarkable support as a host. So all these people, through virtual participation, they were engaged, so beyond the room of the Congress. Over 75% of online participants said that they felt their participation was as good as that of those who were in the room. Finally, an overwhelming support has been voiced for holding a second Congress in the near future. Yeah. As you can see in these charts, which are taken from the evaluation of the event, over 98% of the participants said that the event was really excellent and should be repeated in future occasions. But the Congress was not only about numbers. Let's see, yeah. Technical challenges. Stay there. But Congress was not just about numbers. It was more about the profound discussions between participants, about the education we provide, and its compatibility with the ever-changing times we live in. As the main outcomes, I highlight that the participants saw the following. There is a great need for constant evaluation and adaptation of our youth program, especially when it comes to using new technologies. We need to promote diversity and embrace intergenerational dialogue. We need to take action towards solving current challenges in our societies. Our Scout method needs revisiting and reinforcement. These discussions have continued beyond the Congress and are now producing results. They have been instrumental in shaping the World Triennial Plan 2014-2017 that you'll be discussing shortly. And they continue to be a source of inspiration for the actions we will undertake in the next years. Yes, the first Congress was a success, and we look forward to making the second World Scout Education Congress even a greater event. Thank you. Now I would like to draw your attention just for the small clip that we're going to show you in images what the Congress was. Enjoy. Thank you.
Welcome to the first World Scout Education Congress. In November 2013, over 400 scouts from more than 100 countries gathered in Hong Kong to discuss the core business of scouting, education. The Congress was hosted by the Hong Kong Scout Association. With a warm welcome and impeccable management, they ensured that every participant had a smile on their face throughout the event. The on-site participants were also joined by over 1,500 online participants who contributed to the discussions through over 16,000 mentions on our Congress social media channels. The Congress was a global city where each day participants had the opportunity to discuss the general topic of the day in the morning and then dive deeper into it during the afternoon. The first day was all about the society we live in. The keynote address and sessions, but also our online platform, proved to be an excellent space for debate. Christine Lowe's message echoed throughout the discussions.
It is definitely much easier to say what other people should do, but when you have to make the decisions to do it, that takes us into a deeper depth of thought, because we just don't just say it anymore, we have to implement.
Participants concluded that the fast pace at which our societies change is affecting scouting, and that the increased mobility, interconnectivity, and technological advancement pose both a challenge as well as an opportunity for us as a movement. The benefits of promoting the diversity within our movement came out prominently in discussions. Attention was also drawn to the importance of offering the opportunity to learn relevant life skills through our youth program and training. Education was at the center of debate the second day. In a world where young people's senses are constantly occupied and information flows rapidly, where does scouting stand? Chris Lonsdale's keynote address motivated us to reflect upon our educational proposal.
The other really important part of scouting is this whole idea of self-education and self-learning. And as Robert Baden-Powell said, that a person who knows how to learn by themselves is set up for a successful life.
After an inspiring keynote, participants debated the connections between non-formal and formal education today, as well as the contrast between the learning environment of scouting versus the teaching environment of schools. That was praised as an effective tool for educating young people, and it was emphasized that its relevance is becoming increasingly visible in today's world. evenings were a time for relaxing and experiencing the richness of cultural diversity within our movement. Keynote speaker Amr Khaled challenged the participants at the opening of the third day.
Can you, as a scouts, to encourage our youth in the world to dream?
The focus is back on scouting, and the participants debated about the impact our movement has on our societies. Participants recommended that scouting worldwide should strive towards a regular evaluation and frequent adaptation of its youth program, in accordance with the needs of its membership. Overall, the Congress has motivated the participants to reflect on the education we provide, the society which we try to make better, and the ways in which we realize this. With 40 million young people as our members and growing, our potential for creating a better world is truly enormous. However, in order to bring positive change, we first need to understand our societies and the needs of our young people worldwide. In order to be prepared for what might come in the future, we must devote sufficient time and occasions to reflect upon that future. The Congress has proven to be exactly that, an opportunity to inspire, discuss, reflect, evaluate, and look forward into the future of Scouting.
Thank you, Joao, for the report. It was really a great event. I now would like to invite John May onto the stage for the introduction to the WASM Training Plan 2014 to 2017.
Good afternoon. Afternoon conference. It's my pleasure to present to you our thinking about the World Triennial Plan for 2014 to 2017. I need to give you a little bit of background before I explain too much. Previously, the World Scout Committee, in starting its 3 years of work, has had quite a challenge on its hand, because it has to deal with the resolutions passed at the World Scout Conference. It has to continue to work with pieces of work that have already been started. And then World Scout Committee members will also have their own views and guidance to give before a plan for the next 3 years can be created. We are now proposing, after considerable thought and discussion, a new approach to our work. The idea has been to develop a proposal for work ahead of conference, so that we can come to this conference with an idea of our priorities, or the next World Scout Committee's priorities, for the next 3 years. The idea has been to share those ideas with National Scout organizations so that they can consider them and give feedback, and there can be a genuine dialogue between National Scout organizations and WUSM to decide what is best for the movement's work. There's now an opportunity as well, and has been for the last few days, to discuss and amend and then vote on those proposals here at this conference. Of course, that is not the close of the planning process. Once voted upon, just as previously with resolutions, the general resolutions with which we have worked, things have to be finalized by the World Scout Committee after the conference. So why have we chosen to change the approach? Well, first of all, we have a concern that sometimes resolutions might appear that aren't really aligned with the overall strategy of the movement. And it's very difficult for the World Scout Committee then to prioritize. Secondly, the process of starting from the beginning every triennium is incredibly time-consuming. And the World Scout Committee has, if I may say so, and this is just a personal view, wasted an enormous amount of time having to finalize the program of work. And as you can see from the slide on the screen, it's taken sometimes 9 months after the closing of conference to work out actually what needs to be done in the next, I say 3 years, but then already it's 2 years, 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, 1 month. So, we've been looking for a much more holistic approach. This is such a different way of working that we have worked very hard to be as consultative and transparent as we can possibly be. So, as you can see from the slide, in October 2013, we began a process of looking at the situation and analyzing everything that is going on. We looked at the regional triennial plans. We took a strong, hard look at the strengths and weaknesses within the World Scout Bureau. We analyzed the global youth trends that John introduced to you earlier today. We looked at threats and opportunities for WUSM in general, and we also asked for input from our regions. That process took us to January 2014. Then, in February, we pulled a task force together. They met in Helsinki. They consolidated all the results of everything that they had received. They mapped the possible options in terms of future work. They aligned those options with the vision document that you have already explored, and then began to define the focus of work, or proposed focus of work, for 2014 to 2017. So the proposal is relatively simple. What the team has done is to align a triennial plan with the 6 strategic priorities that have been proposed in the strategy for scouting that you discussed this morning. And in creating a new triennial plan to bring to you today, we've taken the first steps towards achieving Vision 2023. To give you some examples, Vision 2023 speaks of being the world's leading educational youth movement. The strategic plan takes that into a little more detail. And then the triennial plan specifies action that should be taken in the next 3 years to begin to change from just language to reality. If we take another example, we talk about being the world's leading educational youth movement, and that follows its way through into a possible action in supporting NSOs in telling the story of Scouting and its impact on society. That approach was approved by the World Scout Committee in March 2014, and their proposal then was to bring it here to conference. I need to stress, this is a piece of work in progress. It is an opportunity for conference to have a real say in the next 3 years of work for the committee, but to have that say in a more structured way than perhaps has been done before. In April 2014, we shared our work with National Scout organizations. You will have received a circular explaining the background to our work. You will have received our proposed triennial plan and a proposed resolution that we wish to put before conference in due course. Assuming that on Friday you're happy with all this work, following perhaps the amendments that may already have been made or are already being suggested, it will then be the job of my colleagues on the new World Scout Committee to develop a final version. In doing so, they will also need to take into account the other discussions and resolutions that have gone on during this conference. And it is the plan and the commitment to distribute to National Scout organizations the final version of the triennial plan not later than the 1st of January of next year, 2015. That then gives an opportunity for each year to be translated into yearly operational plans for colleagues at the World Scout Bureau. So what we have now is an opportunity in a structured way to develop a work plan for the World Scout Committee and the World Scout Bureau over the next 3 years. This afternoon, you will have an opportunity to discuss that in a little more detail. And David soon will be explaining to you the process for that. And then on Friday morning, there will be the opportunity formally to vote, and I would hope approve, the work that my colleagues and I, staff and volunteers, with your support from the regions and your input over many months, have created. Thank you for your attention. I think this is possibly one of the most exciting pieces of work in terms of developing a future for the World Scout Committee and the World Scout Bureau. I endorse the approach very, very strongly. Thank you, conference.
Thank you, John, for the introduction of the triennial plan 2014 to 2017. Now, Oscar Planquist will share with us information about the Global Support Assessment Tool. Oscar, please.
Thank you, Mary. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here again and to see so many friendly faces. Today, I want to share about the Global Support Tool and the briefing we will have in the afternoon at the conference place. It's no longer at the park. This exercise will happen between 4 and 5:30, 1600, 1730. Well, as you remember, at the last World Scout Conference, the most beautiful city of Curitiba in Brazil, where I was born, it's just a coincidence, the resolution 511 was approved and was about the NSO request to the World Scout Committee to develop and implement a consultancy approach, and the NSOs to engage in this approach. Well, the World Scout Committee decided to create the Global Support Priority Area. And from scratch, we had to develop the entire system, a concept, an action plan, step by step. And the idea is to have the region and the NSOs totally involved. This tool that we created, the tool to help the assessment, is called CEST, or Global Support Assessment Tool, and will be part of the exercise in the afternoon. And this is what you will be familiarized with. Some people may think that WASM wants to audit bank accounts, receipts, paperwork. This is a wrong assumption. This is an assessment, and it's an assessment based on 10 dimensions. It's not just about finances. It's about WASM institutional requirements. It's about governance. It's about strategy, integrity management, communication, adults in scouting, of course, resource allocation, financial controls, youth program, growth potential, and continuous improvement. So it's a broad spectrum. Some of the objectives of the Global Support Assessment Tool are to develop cross-regional assessment tool, measure the capacity and progress in NSOs across the globe according to NGO best practices, as well as WASM policies and standards. So we put it together. Support the NSOs to address their capacity issues and set their priorities. Promote synergies between NSOs, regional and global level. What do I mean by regional and global level? We are developing a network, people from all over the area, from all over the globe, and we will help each other crossing borders. And then we also want to provide input for further support strategies of WASM. WASM, World Scout Committee, we also have a snapshot of the situation. What are our weaknesses? What are our strengths? What has to be done? What the NSO will gain is the possibility to assess performance against international good practices, possibility to identify your challenges and priorities, and of course, use the Global Support Network to get support if required, if needed. But it's up to you. We are here to serve, we have the network. But then you will have to let us know when and how. Also, the possibility to highlight good practices and successes of your NSO and serve as a lighthouse for others. Successful third-party assessment delivers certification, which can also be used to attract future donors. At the present situation today, if you see on the map, we performed so far 28 assessments. 8 in the Inter-America region, 3 in the European region, 2 in Eurasia, 9 in Africa, 2 in the Arab region, 4 in Asia Pacific, and we have 10 more online waiting to start. So, my dear Mary, this is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Next, we have some practical information on the Global Support Assessment Tool workshop and training on plan breakout group session will be occurred in this afternoon. And may I please ask David Berg to provide us with this information.
Thank you, Mary. I would like first to remind conference that the deadline for submission of proposed resolutions to the Resolutions Committee will expire at 2 p.m. today. I repeat, at 2 p.m. today. If you still have any questions for the Resolutions Committee, they will be available for you in the forum room, which is in this building on the first floor, right after lunch. Then, with regard to the practical information for this afternoon activities, we have 2 breakout groups lined up right after each other. We have a first set at 2 p.m. running until 3:30 p.m. Then we have a break, and then we go from 4 to 5:30 p.m. The first row is about the triennial plan. It's split up, similar as this morning for the strategy for scouting, in 10 groups. 6 will be in English, 1 in French, 1 in Spanish, 1 in Arabic, and 1 in Russian. Then we have coffee break, and then we go from 4 to 5:30 with the Global Support Assessment Tool workshops. There will be 8 groups for these breakouts, 4 in English, 1 in French, 1 in Spanish, 1 in Arabic, and 1 in Russian. The room allocation for the triennial plan breakout sessions that will be from 2:30 to 3:30 is as follows. And I think there should be a slide now. No? The breakout sessions in English will be split by strategic priority. So the English speaking, since we have a large number of them, we have a breakout group per strategic priority. For the other languages, the breakout sessions will cover the entire plan through an adapted working method. If you are unsure, because I don't see a slide materializing, if you're unsure, you will find outside in the foyer, you will find an overview of where all the sessions take place, and you can also find there the sign-up sheets if you haven't signed up yet. Ah, fantastic, good. So you see there all the sessions. As for the Global Support Assessment Tool workshop, they will be taking place from 4 to 5:30, and the room allocation is as follows. No slides, okay. You can also find those details outside posted, and the distribution is again by language. So I think you will find all information certainly posted outside, and with that, Mary, I conclude the practical stuff.
Thank you, David. So this concludes the morning session, and enjoy your lunch. Thank you.
you.